Hi, this time I want to talk to you about a specific incident briefly, episode that took place recently that, however, I think is sort of more symptomatic of something larger, and that is, as many of you know, funding has been cut to support Italian publications, that is, publications in the Italian language abroad. And what I mean is basically the daily newspapers in 5 countries, 2 of them being, of course, Canada and the United States. So it affects us directly, especially those of us who speak Italian and who are interested in reading the dailies, let's say, in Italian. That in itself is an argument that I think needs to be discussed perhaps in a different setting. However, I think it's sort of symptomatic of the relationship between, let's say, the cultural relationship between Italy and the United States. And really, at this point, what I want to really just allude to is the relationship from Italy to the United States, that is, in that direction there. Because I think what we see is, frankly, a lack of funding for the so-called Italian-American community. Now, there are a couple of premises that have to be made here. First of all, there is this series of what's called the enti gestori, that is the administrating entities that really deal with the promotion and diffusion of Italian language, teaching Italian, supporting Italian. And those get funded quite handsomely to some degree. However, when it comes to something like the support of news agencies abroad in Italian, obviously we have a crisis here, because not only was the funding for 2010 cut in half, but in fact there was a retroactive cutting in half for 2009, which in reality means that there's no funding in 2010. And so if these 5 publications in 5 different parts of the world do not have in reserves a basic budget of an entire year, they're cooked. They have to close down. And that's the risk for these 5 publications. So what does that mean? It means that any information in Italian language, any other information about citizenship, for those who are citizens, for example, of Italy, but live in these 5 different, what I would call geopolitical areas, those people will lose a channel of information, for example, because these newspapers will go out of business. The other issue is, the law has always said for agencies, Italian agencies or Italian information agencies abroad that deal with things Italian, in Italian. Of course we know that things have changed in the last 25 to 30 years. And with the advent of the internet, for example, the internet doesn't fall under the law. Internet agencies don't qualify for this type of funding. Secondly, if the information agency is not in Italian, if it is mixed, bilingual, it still doesn't qualify for funding. And so these are certain things perhaps that need to be revisited. There are other laws that need to be revisited. I mentioned the enti gestori, the administrating entities for the teaching, supporting the teaching of Italian in the public schools here in the United States in the various metropolitan areas, one being in New York. Well, the issue there is that that funding was, that law was set a number of decades ago, and they talk about the obligatory ages or the obligatory grades only can be supported. Those obligatory grades 40 or 50 years ago when this law was put in, or 30 years ago, no, maybe 40, when this law was put into effect, was up to grade 8. Well, today, obligatory schooling in Italy is up to, I think, the first year of high school. It's like 16 years old. So those are other things that need to be addressed. And I think that at this point, the only way we can get information, let the Italian government know that perhaps we would like certain things to be updated, is first and foremost to start writing letters to the various agencies that are under attack, and that would be, in this country, Americology. Second, to write to other agencies that perhaps can get the information out, and in this case it would be the agency that you're looking at right now, the internet portal iitaly.org. And third, to basically write to your consulates and to write to the representatives here in the United States, it is Amato Berardi in Philadelphia. And with that, I say happy writing and see you next time. Arrivederci alla prossima puntata.